So excited to have you here, Valerie, to tell us the good news about California and what just went
Yes,
down. Give us the info.
definitely. About an hour and a half ago, the state of California released their information, their grant application information for the state stimulus funds, the $500 million in stimulus funds. And I think the biggest news is the deadline. The application window opens December 30th. And closes January 8th of 2021. So that's only like 9 days to fill out the application. And so there's a few things that I think are important for people to know as they move into this process. First of all, it's going to be a little bit different than the PPP application through the federal government was. The state has contracted with Lendistry to lead the grant process. So basically, they've contracted it out so the state won't have the oversight. Lendistry happens to be a minority-led community development financial institution, and they offer loans to small businesses. Now, Lendistry has partnered with some other organizations to help with what they expect to be a very large amount of applications and then for the distribution of funds. So we'll give you a website that you can go to, and then you're going to go and check out your county, your specific county that you do business in. Click on that county, and it'll give you a list of a couple of lenders, including Lendistry, that will be able to help you with the application. What we know now and what they have published is that grants from, businesses that make $1,000 to $100,000 in annual revenue are eligible for a $5,000 grant. And then for businesses that have annual revenue of greater than 100,000 up to $1 million, they could be eligible for $15,000 in grant funds. And then from 1 million to 2.5 million, businesses could receive up to $25,000. Now, if your business or nonprofit has revenue in excess of 2.5 million, you're just not qualified for this program. So there's a couple of other items I'd love to discuss, and that includes eligible entities. What exactly can you apply for grant funding for? And then also, are there any exclusions? Let me start with that. One exclusion is owners of multiple businesses can only file for one grant for one location. And so they're required to apply for the business with the highest revenue. So there's one item. And then also for the business types, all small businesses, including sole proprietors, 1099 contract workers, any type of business that has gross revenue of 2.5 million or below are eligible. And small nonprofits are eligible as well. And that includes 501c6 nonprofit organizations. So that's great for some of those chambers of commerce and others that don't have the regular 501c3 designation. And so the businesses that apply, you have to have been impacted by COVID-19. You have to show some type of business interruption or business closure, and most businesses have had that happen. Now, there's also a long list of ineligible businesses that are not able to apply. Take a look at that on the website. But just for example, churches, banks, and some other types of businesses are not eligible. So take a look at that. And our eligible costs, and this is the good news, because businesses can use these grant funds for all employee expenses: payroll, healthcare benefits, sick leave, family leave, and good news, you can use it for working capital or overhead. That's rent, utilities, debt payments based on principal and interest incurred before March 1, but it's your basic overhead costs. So that is great news. And then also you can spend the funds on costs that are associated with reopening your business if you've been partially or fully closed down. You can use this for cost to comply with COVID-19 guidelines, and that includes like PPE, the plexiglass barriers that you see for outdoor dining, or in many cases, grocery stores and other types of stores. And then any other COVID-19 related expenses that aren't already covered through grants or loans through other sources.
Valerie, is there any insight that you've been given yet around the type of information they're going to be collecting? So as business owners, we can sort of get our ducks in a row if they're not already.
Right. That's a great question. So there's going to be 2 stages to completing the application. Stage 1, you'll complete the application online. It'll be through the online portal, and it's not going to be open until the 30th when the application window starts. And then you'll have some selected financial and organizational documents that you upload. And then they're going to ask you to self-certify the accuracy of your information, and you'll have to certify that and provide a copy. And the financial documents that will be needed are your most recent tax return filed. And so that could be 2019 or 2018. And then for nonprofit organizations, your most recent Form 990. And last, you will need to have a government issued photo ID. And so if you're the business owner, you'll have to submit your photo ID. If you are the executive director of a nonprofit organization, you will have to submit your photo ID, government issued. And they want that in a JPEG, like a photograph, or a PDF format.
Got it. Okay. Doesn't sound too bad, at least for the first round, until they get into the follow-up info.
Right. And so then they'll select you for funding, and then you'll be required to provide the additional documentation. And this is where it gets a little bit more document heavy, but it's understandable. So you'll have to have your official filing of your California Secretary of State, which has to be active, or your local municipality license for being in business, then your articles of incorporation, certificate of organization, fictitious business name if you have that, and then a government issued business license. Then for nonprofit organizations, they have to provide a copy of their IRS tax exemption letter. And last, you have to verify your bank account via electronic registration, because they'll just want to direct deposit the funds into your bank account.
Sounds pretty reasonable. And for a lot of us who have been playing this game for 9 months now, we probably have a lot of that already, labeled and put in a folder. So that's the good news as well. Is the state of California saying anything about when they're hoping to actually get this money in the hands of small businesses?
Well, they say they're going to start making deposits by January 13th. So that's just a few days after the deadline. So we won't have to wait as long as we did with other, funding. But they also are going to do it in 2 rounds. So if you don't make it for the first round, stay tuned for the second round, in which they have not given us the deadlines or the submission deadlines for that yet. So they're going to make their decisions based on a couple of different criteria. They'll be reviewed to make sure everything meets their eligibility. Then they're going to look at geographic distribution based on safety restrictions. So for example, probably LA County has much more stringent restrictions than San Diego County. I'm just saying that as a general statement. So based on this, they may give more funding to LA County businesses or other areas that have higher safety restrictions. Then they'll focus on industry sectors most impacted by the pandemic: restaurants, nail salons, other businesses like that. And then, of course, underserved small business groups, such as women and minorities and persons of color and veteran-owned organizations. So
that's a lot of criteria they're going to be sorting through.
Right. Yeah. But
okay. But
you're plan, which is wonderful.
Yeah, you're feeling pretty positive, it sounds like, about this particular grant program.
Yes. definitely.
Awesome. Awesome. So Valerie, are there any other programs that are floating out there that maybe haven't been confirmed yet that we can hopefully look forward to in the next few months?
Yes, of course, we have the new federal stimulus package, which has been approved by Congress, but not yet signed by the president. We are really hoping that will occur. And they will then have to, SBA will have to kind of rewrite more rules. And we don't know right now when that will go live again, but I do have a little bit of information about what we can expect to be included based on what Congress passed. Once it's signed by the president, it might look a little bit different, but we can just give some kind of high level information that could help businesses and nonprofits be prepared.
You know, if somebody's watching this and saying like, I need support in getting my documents together or getting through this process, maybe it's the first time someone's applied for a grant, whether they're a for-profit business or a nonprofit, how can somebody engage help from your firm?
Well, we would love to help as many businesses and nonprofits as possible. We have helped a few with the first round of PPP funding and then through our local county grants. So we also have a lot of experience in federal grant applications and all kinds of applications. That's what we do, consulting and working with organizations to get funding. So I would love to talk with you. Email would be the best way to get in touch with me. And we would be able to have like a 15-minute consultation on the phone or Zoom if you prefer.
Great, awesome. And then let's say that that conversation looks like a fit, then I would engage with you to, you know, like on an hourly or project basis to help me get all my ducks in a row. Is that right?
For this particular opportunity, it would most likely be on an hourly basis because each business is going to be different. They'll have different forms available, you know, so we're just going to do an hourly rate for that.
And then one last question, I know, because I've been through a couple of rounds of this, you know, it's great to get the application and get approved to get the money, but there's always the the reporting side of it.
Right.
They come knocking like, how'd you spend the money? Yeah, I need proof, right?
Exactly.
Is that something your firm can help with too on the back end?
Yes, yes. And we're encouraging our clients to keep a paper trail as they go along so that it's not so much on the back end that we're kind of scrambling to get the information, but just keep good documentation so that you can report accurately the expenses in the realm of the grant or what the grant was provided for.
Oh, well, Valerie, thank you for keeping us in the know. We really, really, really appreciate it. And I'll make sure to post all your info if folks do have questions or want to get in touch with you, even for just a quick consult or to engage you to help them get through this process. It's a lot. I mean, if this is your first time, I know it was one of my first times applying for grants, and I was just like, my eyes were crossing, and it's like, this is not my wheelhouse. I'm not good at this. I don't want to be good at this. I want help. So if it's something that you need to kind of pass off to somebody else to run the ball down the field, we're we're grateful to have you.